This is the feedback looking at the Water World question on the Unit 1 paper, and what we've got is a series of different questions, some slightly harder than others. So the first question, outline one way agriculture causes river pollution. This caused some of you some problems because it didn't actually use the graph in the slightest, aside from the fact that agriculture was the biggest river polluter. You got an idea for the mark and then an idea for the development. A lot of you came up with the fact that agriculture uses lots of fertilisers, which can then lead to eutrophication, or it can lead to pesticides and herbicides poisoning river life. Lots of different ways of getting the marks. The top ones were the most common, but the critical bit was come up with the idea and then develop it to get the 2 marks. Next part. Small-scale water management schemes often use intermediate technology. Use a named example, describe 2 benefits of using intermediate technology. Lots of different ideas, to be honest. I heard about pumpkin tanks, AfriDev hand pumps, life straws, various different concepts we used to actually develop this. The critical thing was coming up with 2 benefits and then developing them. And a lot of you kind of came up with 1 benefit and then developed that in quite a lot of detail, and as a consequence got 3. But because you didn't come up with 2, you couldn't possibly get 4 marks in your answer. Examples on the left hand side give you ideas of different benefits. If you didn't get the 4 marks, go through your answer and then develop it and explain it. The example on the right gets 4 marks. Have a read of it, figure out why. And finally, for a named vulnerable area, explain the impact on people of an insufficient and unreliable water supply. A bit all over the place, this question. Most of you talked about the Sahel region, which is it's a valid region, and most of you came up with different ideas. The problem was it just lacked specific detail. This is a revision issue, and it's about making sure that you're revising your case studies clearly. Most of you were able to come up with different impacts and come up with 2 different impacts, but just didn't have the ability to develop it. The answer on the right talks about Egypt as opposed to Sahel. Gets 6 marks though. If you read through it, it's got great use of key language, talking about over-abstraction. It's got great use of specific detail, 99% live on 5% of the land. This is a case study you've done in a different example, and it's something you could develop and use, so saving you revision for different case studies. Very good answer. Have a read of it, think about why, then go back to your answer and develop it to get the full marks that are required. If you finish with that, a couple of questions to think about. Costs and benefits of a large-scale water management scheme, and describe how the biosphere regulates the hydrological cycle. Very similar questions to previously, but it's in this unit as opposed to the other units, so be aware that things can transfer across.